So yeah, as you guys can read by the title and thumbnail, me and Setro finally decided to come together and make our own type soul copy. So release should be sometime this week. All the links will be inside the description down below. So if you guys are interested, you guys can join there. But basically, we're going to be dropping our own copy. It's basically going to be like Type Menma Part 2, because we plan on updating super often. We plan on listening to the community, doing tournaments, and a bunch of stuff. Basically, inside this video, I'll be listing everything that we actually plan on doing. But yeah, me and Setro teaming up, making Type Menma Part 2, and just trying to make Type Soul but better, which quite frankly should not be that hard to do at all, because Type Soul is currently driving itself into the ground right now. But the first things that I want to talk about is going to be stuff that have been needing to be released inside of Type Soul, and for some reason Type Soul doesn't even acknowledge it. So those things are including Fullbringers, Vasto Lorde as an actual viable thing, dungeons, Hellverse, and true bond ties. I'll be talking about all those right now before we get into the slightly less important shit. But those are the main things that I want to focus on inside this video. So the first thing is Fullbringers, right? If you guys don't know what Fullbringers are, you didn't watch Bleach or whatever. Fullbringers are basically a whole brand new race, and we plan on having them inside our game. Now, I don't know when the exact release date for them will be, but just know we will be releasing Fullbringers into our game because there needs to be a new race inside Type Soul. We've had Quincy's, Arontars, and Soul Reapers forever. So we're going to be making Fullbringers so there actually is a new race to play as. It will have its own whole progression and things like that. But Fullbringers will be a thing in our game. Now, I don't know if we'll implement it to where you can be a Fullbringer as a Soul Reaper, because obviously that's what Ishido did. I don't know if we'll have that as a thing. We'll probably just have it as its own separate race. But if you guys have any suggestions on Fullbringers, then feel free to leave them inside the comments. Or inside the Discord, we have a suggestion tab where we're going to be listening. Whatever gets the most upvotes is basically what we're going to be listening to. The next thing is Vasto Lorde. We're going to make Vasto Lorde an actual viable option, because if you guys don't know, actual Type Soul's Vasto Lorde, all that you get is M1s and a Setro for one of the coolest modes inside the whole verse. In my opinion, Vasto Lorde is actually one of the coolest modes in the whole verse, and they just made it completely ass. So we're going to be making Vasto Lorde its own thing. Basically, your option, you can go Vastocar or you can go Vasto Lorde. We're basically going to make them roughly the same thing. They're going to be having their own variants and shit like that. But basically, Vasto Lorde and Vastocar will just be, you can pick one or the other, and they will basically do the same exact thing. That is basically how we're going to have it, because Vasto Lorde is kind of just a cosmetic. It will literally just be Vastocar, but it will have its own progression and be slightly different. It might have its own variants and things like that. So yeah, you guys can give some suggestions on that as well. If you guys want it to be its own whole separate different thing from Vastocar, have its own variants and things like that, we could make that happen. The next thing is going to be the dungeon system, because I don't know why there's not dungeons already in Type Soul, but we will be adding a dungeon system. A lot of games have dungeon systems already. So basically, it's going to have its own exclusive rewards. It's basically going to be how you get good loot. We'll probably make it decently hard, so you actually have to play it with a whole team. We haven't fully decided on that yet, though. So yeah, dungeons will be a thing, though. I don't know if we're going to make it like Hellverse, where you have to fight actual NPCs, or if you fight other players. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but dungeons will be a thing inside of our game. The next thing is Hellverse and True Bond Ties. So True Bond Tie will probably release obviously sooner, because a lot of them we already have done, as a lot of them were already done in the files. But yeah, True Bond Ties, True Segundus, Collaborate, all of that we will try to release as soon as possible. I would say they'll probably come out, if they're not out on release, they'll probably come out 2 weeks after release. And then Hellverse, I have no idea when we plan on releasing it. All that I do know is that it will be sometime next month, and 100% it will be out before main Type Soul drops theirs. So yeah, that is kind of all the super important stuff, but now I'll get into update schedule, community events, and things like that we plan on doing. So the first thing is community stuff, right? I personally plan on hosting a lot of tournaments for, I don't know about specs, but definitely for custom titles. If you guys want a custom name, I'll probably host a tournament once every 2 days or whatever, and whoever wins gets their own title, whatever. Probably gonna do a lot of tournaments. I'll probably do one every day for different shit. And then the other thing is going to be community suggestions for Shiitais and things like that, because that is one thing that I wish actual Type Soul had, because there is already a lot of Shiitais and all that in actual Type Soul, but there's not really many cool ones, because they kind of just add boring shit. So Hello Type Menma literally had Goku Black Res and things like that. We will have suggestions like that. If the most voted suggestion is to add Jin Mori Volt Standing, we will add Jin Mori Volt Standing. Like, we don't really care. Whatever the community wants is what the community will get, because that is the most important thing to us, is actually listening to our community. So yeah, if you guys want something crazy, obviously we'll make it balanced, because we already have a whole balancing team, which I'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, if y'all want something crazy like Jin Mori Volt Standing, we'd be down to make it, is all that I'm saying. Okay, and then the next thing, like I said, titles. Titles will be a thing. We don't know how we're exactly going to do it, but more than likely it just will be tournaments. And then some very, like, other stuff that we're going to do. We're going to revamp the progression, because Type Soul's progression is actually, like, terrible. So we're going to revamp the progression. We're going to revamp boss raids, and we're going to add more raid game modes, because raids inside of Type Soul is, like, what's considered endgame. And all they have is, like, 2 different modes, and the only one is Gladiator. So we're going to be making more modes for raids as well, because that's one thing that I'm surprised they haven't done. And then as far as update schedule, so main Type Soul right now updates 1 time a week, and honestly, I think they actually skipped this week because it's Saturday and we have no news on the update. But yeah, pretty much we will be updating twice as frequently as actual Type Soul, maybe even 3 times. We plan on updating at bare minimum twice a week. Whether if it's a community suggestion thing, whatever it is, we plan on updating twice a week for anything, right? So that means we're going to have a lot of sheet ties, we're going to have a lot of reses, we're going to have a lot of volt standings, a lot of weapons, things like that. Basically, the amount of content inside of a normal Type Soul update, we will make twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on how we're feeling that week. But yeah, that is basically like the most important shit that I had to talk about. If I forgot anything, I'll just include inside the comments. But pretty much, our update schedule should be twice a week to 3 times a week. For updates, we're going to revamp progression, we're going to revamp boss raids, we're going to revamp raids, not like revamp, but we will add more raids. We're going to add dungeons, we will have Hell and True Bond Ties before main Type Soul. We're going to make raids less boring, because raids are fucking dog shit inside Type Soul. We're going to have titles. Now, I don't know if they're going to be via tournament, or they're just going to be like whoever the highest ranked Arantar is can become an Espada. However we decide to do it, I will announce it inside the Discord. The updates, like I said, 2 to 3 times a week. We're going to add Fullbringers, and we're going to make Vasto Lorde an actual viable option. And then community events is going to be another thing that is our main focus, especially community suggestions for, like I said, volt standings and things like that. If you guys want something crazy and it gets a lot of upvotes, like if there is, like I said, Jin Mori volt standing, if that shit had 1,000 upvotes, we'd work on it, right? Because that is probably the main thing that we are trying to focus on here, is being just a more community driven Type Soul that is actually good. Now, like I said, we do already have a balancing team, but if you guys do want to become a balancer and you're high ranked in Type Soul or whatever, I'm down to make y'all balancers, right? Like, I'm trying to get as many balancers as possible to make our game genuinely good. But yeah, release should be this week. At some point, we will have a lot of shit, so just be on the lookout. We'll have Fullbringers out at some point. Vasto Lorde will be its own thing at some point. We're going to do a lot of shit for this game, and we will be updating super fast. So yeah, if you guys are interested, all of that will be linked inside the description down below. But yeah, I'll see you guys inside the next one. Peace.